And so these people are in positions of power that they should not be in. And what's happening is that in the age of the internet and social media, they're being outed. So I know this is a long multi-part series, but this is very, very important. And I haven't gone into extreme detail, but really for each person, if you see that you are a person with low self-esteem, or you may be the victim of emotional abuse, do seek a therapist who can help you go on the journey of unlearning that stuff. Because sometimes people's founding dogma, as I was talking about in the other video, it puts them in a position to where, even though they decide not to be that person, they're not healed from that. That's why I constantly teach on my channel that 1, you weren't born evil, 2, you were taught to be evil, 3, what you must understand is that this verbal repentance and deciding not to, repentance alone, it really doesn't do anything. Going to a God you don't know, can't see, and asking that, and you have really no history, except the only history you have with that God is the history that a man told you about that God, and you've decided to try to make a relationship and to form a bond with a God through another man. It's one of the core founding failures of Christianity. You're forming a relationship with an entity through what another man teaches you. It's incredibly dangerous. Incredibly dangerous. It's why Christianity is such a malleable, hijackable religion that will constantly victimize other individuals. And the whole dynamic in the way of Christianity, the way it's taught, and I bring up Christianity because what's involved here are those 2 pastors. So the fact that there are 2 pastors who decades later didn't have the emotional maturity, the ability to dialogue about the abuse that went on in a way that reflected the seriousness of it all. And the fact that the clips that they, even from their own church, it shows you, it is such a great example of how individuals will think that they have, that because it's decades later and they're no longer doing the things that they have done, and the fact that they've become a Christian and become pastors, they think that they have changed. The truth is that you haven't changed. You're just not doing the things that you were doing. But your views, when you express that your views on the abuse that went on, but the views of the victim and the victimizer don't take into account, like when you know you were on camera and you know you were on a podcast and don't take into account the seriousness of what's going on, and the host is not mature enough. And because if you're an intuitive, you can read all 3 of those people. That's why I blew past this and I haven't said anything about it. No, it's a no. Someone like me with my discernment, it's a no. I can tell. Dude at the top, Letarius, he is a layer cake. He is a layer cake of traumas and abuses, things that appear to have happened to him when he was younger. And none of that stuff has been resolved. And you can tell. It's why when people tell me they've been delivered of something, and I'm just like, no, you're just choosing not to do those things. And that in and of itself is an act of bravery, but people need to learn how dangerous it is. How dangerous it is to allow yourself to become the student of people who have not done the work and who get on camera. And I thank God for modern day social media, because there's a lot of stuff. I had to learn discernment. I had to hone what I see and what I'm able to detect without social media, without people being honest and open about who they are. Okay. And so you begin to be able to detect the mess before, all 3 of them, the host, Letarius, and the pastor and his pastor's wife, are not individuals that I would entertain in my life, except as a cautionary tale of who and how not to be. Wouldn't buy the book, wouldn't allow myself to sit under the tutelage of individuals like that, because individuals like that, they're no better. They are not in a position to teach me anything. The only thing they can do is, on accident, show me who they are, and then show me that when I identify that pattern in other individuals, which it's so on all three of them, I wouldn't have had to have listened to, I didn't really have to listen to like much, but I did go back and listen to the different clips and stuff. And because I know that the clips, where they're caught up at is that the clips make it appear as though they're still operating in the same behavior now, while they're the pastor and his wife, while they're preaching. And their analysis stops there. Like, oh, it just made us appear that we're still doing that. Now, no, to the both of them, your base programming and who you are, that character defect and flaw is still there. Given the correct stimulus, you would be the same. You would be the same. And may still be. He may still mess around from time to time to where she gives him a hall pass and he goes out and he does whatever, as long as he does it out of her sight and not letting her know about it. They may be in an open relationship. Whatever it is, they need to get honest to their parishioners, because who and what they are is coming out. And it's present and it's very visible. It's just a shame to see, to where I've seen some of their parishioners or people who allegedly are in their church are more angry about the fact that they said something embarrassing, they were too honest on camera, rather than being angry about the fact that they weren't emotionally mature enough as a pastor, as a teacher, as counselors, as people in position of influence and authority, to know how to talk about what was going on in their 20s, to know how to advise people about detecting a lack of the wife had a very low opinion of herself. She had low self-esteem, and she admits it, but the way she talked about it did not put people in a position to grow. It just became entertainment. And in that situation, it was a kind of entertainment that did not help people, I'll put it like this: it put people in a position to know that they're not people who should be listened to. And it also put people on notice, because the clips on their church page, it puts you on notice. You don't need to be going to that church and not those people. And what things their parishioners are admitting, they're not people who you want to learn from. So you can keep going. You can put yourself in a position to learn from these people, meaning you would be taught by them. The problem is that they're teaching you how to be twisted. It doesn't matter if a person is teaching you dogma, the founding dogma of your religious sect. Doesn't matter. Who and what they are will always seep out, and these people cannot hide it. And it will cause you to be influenced into, think of it, let me use a little Christianese. If a person is suffering from a certain spirit, like Christians tend to equate everything to a spirit when it's just a character defect. They think something is a curse when it's just a habit. It's a character defect that's formed a series of habits that are toxic. Those people are a good example of those series of toxic habits that are formed out of a character defect. Just go back and watch the footage. And what, unfortunately, in this situation, because I know I'm going long and I apologize, I'm sitting here yapping. The problem in the situation is that these people are in a position of influence and power. When people are in a position of influence and power and they're putting themselves out there as teachers, when you take on the label of Christian, you going out and you're trying to witness people. It's why witnessing is so wrong. You should actually be in a position of maturity, in a progress of your walk as a human, to be aware of the fact that, hey, you still got some healing to do. You shouldn't be out trying to convert people. And quite frankly, your healing journey will be the thing, the success of that would be the thing that would make people want to be a Christian. But instead, people just want to get up and yap.